and you want to sit comfortably, so you're like, I'm gonna cross my leg. Don't do that, because that's rude. Hello, friends and family. This is Mega Vote, aka Child Viguksadem. And I'm back with another cultural video, baby. Let's say you're with some older people, and this is one thing I've noticed: the younger generation of Korea is much taller than the older generation. So chances are, if there's an old Korean person, you're gonna be taller than they are. Let's say you're walking and your mother or father-in-law has a leaf on their head, and you're like, let me get this leaf off your head for you, and you go reach on top of the head to get that leaf, girl. Don't do it. That's rude. You never touch the top of an older person's head if you don't work at a hair salon and they didn't come to receive services from you, or you did not say, hey, you have a leaf on your head, and they didn't say, oh, can you get it off for me? You just don't do it. So have you ever been at a restaurant, maybe with your boss or some older Korean people like your Korean in-laws, and you're so hungry because you've been working all day, and you sit down at that table and there's side dishes. In Korea, when you sit down, they give you the side dishes first. You see those side dishes and it looks so good. You've got your youngguns, you know, your lotus roots, you've got your tteok, which I don't know what tteok is in English, but it's a root vegetable, and they like put it with like a spicy sauce on it and it tastes so good. You've got your shigumchinamur, like your little spinach laid out, girl, and it just looks so appetizing. So you pick up those chopsticks and you start eating. You just took it upon yourself to start eating first, girl. That's rude. It's rude because when you are not the higher up person or the oldest person there, then you should wait for that person to start eating before you pick up your chopsticks. So you basically have to sit there and wait and smell all the delicious foods until the person who is kind of the leader, I guess, they'll start eating first, and then they'll say, let's eat, and then you can pick up your chopsticks, but you gotta wait for that person. It's key. So let's say it's evening time at this restaurant and you guys are like, we're gonna have some soju, or we're gonna have some makgeolli, which is so good. And oh my god, they have a sweet potato flavored makgeolli now. Let me show you. Man, sweet potato flavored makgeolli. Makgeolli is a fermented rice alcohol, but the sweet potato flavor is so good, and it's sparkling too. Like, makgeolli is so much better than soju. Like, I don't care what you say. Come at me, bro. We can argue all day, but this stuff is so good. Oh, there's also a chestnut one too. That's pretty good. Another interesting thing about makgeolli is that they serve it in bowls. You're just sitting there like, where's my cup? Where's my cup? And everyone pours it in their bowl, and you're like, oh, see, I thought we was gonna be putting food in that bowl, but it's for your makgeolli, just so you know. I digress. So let's say this higher up person wants to drink. It's also rude to kind of refuse the first drink, but nowadays, because we have a lot of Muslims here in Korea, like if it's because of your religion that you don't drink, it's perfectly okay to say, hey, you know, like because of my religion, like I can't drink. As a rule of thumb, you should just accept the first drink, and then you don't have to accept anymore. I cut out a lot of me like drinking the makgeolli, and I'm actually on an empty stomach because it's like first thing in the morning here. I'm starting to feel it. So your boss pours you that delicious sweet potato makgeolli. Yes, honey. And then we do our cheers, and you look at your boss and you're like, thanks so much. And you drink it like this. That's rude. Why? Because when someone's older than you and you are drinking alcohol, then it is polite for you to turn your head around and sip it on the side like that. Or you can cover your face and sip it to the side. Actually, I don't know why, but I feel like a lot of things you just kind of gotta turn to the side. It's also like that for smoking cigarettes. I was really surprised, like a lot of people smoke cigarettes in Korea. If you're taking a smoke break with, let's say, your boss or some older up people, and you're like, hey, smoking that cigarette in front of that old person, girl, don't do that. Because that's rude. So it's the same thing. When you smoke cigarettes, you want to turn to the side and then kind of smoke, or smoke a little bit off to the side from someone who is older than you or a higher position than yourself. Okay, I'm feeling buzzed. Back to the restaurant. Let's say you're at the restaurant and someone you know walks in the restaurant and you're like, hey girl, come over here. rude. Why? Because in Korea, when you call people over, calling someone over like this, like how we do in like Western societies with an up hand, that means you about to come over there and get the smack down. It's disrespectful. So how do you call people over? You go like this. It was so weird for me at first, but now it's so second nature that even just for filming doing like this, like I had a hard time doing it. My hand was like, girl, what are you doing? 8 years in Korea, I'll do that to you. And even when you're calling a taxi as well, you know, you don't put your hand up like this. You call taxis like this or like this, right? Hand down, not hand up. Okay. All right. So, you know, in Korea, when people greet each other, they typically bow, you know, 안녕하세요, like that. You bow, right? And the deeper you bow, the more respectful the bow. So you got like a little bow. You can do like a head nod, or you can go all the way down and all the way up. And it's super respectful. But there's also a handshaking culture, especially in the business world. So let's say you're at a business meeting and the person you're meeting with is older than you, and you run up and you're like, hi, I'm Megan, how are you? And you reach out that hand first. Okay, don't do that, girl, because that's rude. What you want to do is wait for them to reach out their hand first. If someone's older than you, it's about them reaching out first. So if they reach out first, then you can shake their hand. But do you shake their hand just one-on-one hand? No, you don't, sir. You got to use 2 hands to grab their hand, or you got to put a hand under the elbow and grab their hand. And to be safe, and what I've noticed a lot of people do, because when I first started getting into business, I kind of looked at how people greeted each other. A lot of people will do a half bow and handshake. So this is kind of what I do. I put a hand under the elbow, I bow, and then grab their hand after they've extended their hand to me first, because I'm typically the youngest person when I have like business meetings and stuff like that, right? So if you're young, you just have to get used to it. If you're never extended a hand, then you just do the bow and say 안녕하세요 and keep it moving, all right? Okay. So speaking of the 2-hand thing under the elbow or grabbing the hands with 2 hands, but let's say someone gives you a gift. Hey Megan, I got you this bowl, why don't you take it? And then you grab that bowl with 1 hand. Thanks, girl. That's rude. Why? When someone gives you a gift or something, to show your respect, you take it with 2 hands, or you take it with a hand under the elbow. And I've seen some people even put 1 hand kind of like on their chest, not necessarily on their arm. I don't know if it's right or not, but I see Korean people doing this all the time. I just go like this to be safe, or just go like this to even be the safest, but just take it with 2 hands. It's considered the polite way to do it. Same thing for alcohol. Like when your boss is pouring you alcohol, you want to be holding that cup with 2 hands. And another random thing, when you're doing cheers, because in Korea you do cheers a lot. I feel like I'm going back and forth. Like we're at the restaurant, then we're not at the restaurant, we're at the restaurant. I'm so sorry. So you got 2 bowls. This is your bowl, you're holding it. This is your boss's bowl. You're holding your bowl with 2 hands. By the way, I ain't got 4 hands, so you just gotta pretend, right? And you're about to cheers with your boss or someone who's older, and this is your cup. You go, oh, don't do that, girl, because that's rude. Your glass or your bowl or your cup needs to be below theirs. So what you will notice when you go to business meetings, you'll see everyone trying to be humbling themselves and trying to be the lower glass, so the glasses just keep getting low, like they're about to pop lock and drop it. So anyway, put your glass a little bit lower just to be respectful. And there you go. So let's say at this business meeting there are no desks and you just all kind of sitting out there, right? And you want to sit comfortably, so you're like, I'm gonna cross my leg. Don't do that, because that's rude. Another thing that I didn't even think about, but in Western countries, like this tent is like, let me get in here, girl. Like my mother-in-law bought us a new mattress, but it's like so high. So the tent, like I can't get in the tent anymore without bending down because the mattress is so high, but it's the best mattress ever. Thanks, Mom. In Western countries, like if your leg is crossed, we even got that much camera frame here, and you're talking, maybe you'll just kind of naturally point your toe at something like, oh yeah, oh over there, right? Girl, don't do that in Korea. That's rude. Pointing with your toe is a no-no. Don't point with the toe, or you're gonna have to go. Back to the restaurant. So let's say you're at that restaurant and you look at the time and you're like, I gotta go. Bye. Thanks. and then you just go because you're busy. Girl, don't do that. That's rude. Typically, what you want to do is wait for the older person starts the eating and the older person finishes the eating as well. So you notice after everyone has eaten, they just kind of sit around and wait for the older person to say, okay, let's go. And then everyone can get up and go. But if you're like at an office and then your lunch break is a set time and you've got work to do, you can't just say, hey, I've actually got to finish this project. You know, I'm going to go first. But you have to do it very formally. Like you have to use something like, this was one of the expressions that I always used, like was 먼저 가보겠습니다. Like I'm gonna go first, but like in a super very like formal way. And then it's okay if they already know. But in general, just without anything being like, all right, let's go. No. The older person initiates. But a good thing about that is the older person is usually expected to pay. So if you follow all the rules, you get a free meal. I like that. I hope I didn't deter some of you guys from coming. Every time I make these kind of videos, people be like, they got so many rules, they're gonna think I'm so rude. But as I've mentioned before, as long as people know that you have an appreciation for Korean culture and you're not on purpose being rude, people will usually just say, hey, actually it's a little bit more polite to do X, Y, and Z versus, you know, being mad or angry and yelling at you. But this is just for people who want to try and be polite and to want to learn about Korean society and how people do things here. I thought I would make this video for you. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you like this video, like to see more videos, please subscribe to my YouTube page, which is down below. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, like me on Facebook, and I will see ya.